Hello and welcome to Dishonored. This is a pointing episode though, so if you don't want to watch me reading books, or you don't want to listen to it, or looking at these little plaque things that I can read, then you don't have to watch this, you can just skip ahead to the next episode. But this is a pointing episode, and it's going to be Overseer Offices 1, because that's where we are. Yeah. Right, I will also say before I start this, it's been 3 hours since I recorded the last Dishonored videos. I've been away and watched Spectre, the James Bond film. And in that 3 hours, I've come back and now I am full of cold for some reason. It's been 3 hours. I don't know how it works like that, but it did. Right, anyway, let's begin reading. So, Wandering Gaze. Restrict a wandering gaze that looks hither and yonder for some flashing thing that easily catches a man's fancy in one moment, but brings calamity in the next. For the eyes are never tired of seeing, nor are they quick to spot illusion. A man whose gaze is corrupted is like a wrapped mirror that has traded beauty for ugliness and ugliness for beauty. Instead, fix your eyes to what is edifying and to what is pure, and then you will be able to recognize the monuments of the outsider. Okay, lying tongue. Restrict the lying tongue that is like a spark in a man's mouth. It is such a little thing, yet from one spark an entire city may burn to the ground. Restless hands. Restrict restless hands which quickly become the workmates of the outsider. Unfretted by honest labour, they rush to sordid gain, vain pursuits and deeds of violence. Of what value are the hands that steal and kill and destroy? Instead, put your hands to the plough, the fork, and the spade. For even the lowliest labour that is righteous squeezes the muscles as a sponge, rinsing impurities from the mind and body. Roving feet. Restrict roving feet that love to trespass. They pay no heed to the bounding stones of men's fields. They wander into foreign lands only to return with their sails blackened by iniquity. When have you strayed that destruction now comes behind you? When you walk across burning coals or broken glass? Then why did you prowl to the homes of the honest men, or in the dens of hidden things? For the result is the same. You will fall into the void. Instead, rest your feet on a firm foundation, so that when the winds of the outsider shriek against you, you will stand firm and not be overthrown. Rampant hunger. Restrict rampant hunger, or the imperterate will rise up among you like a virulent swarm, devouring everything wherever they go, even filth. For what goes into a man poisons him, and if a man eats filth, then filth is what he will vomit up, and for a morsel of meat a glutton will sell his birthright, his family, and his friends. Wanton flesh. Restrict the desires of the wanton flesh. Truly there is no quicker means by which a man's entire life can be upheaved and sifted than a man's depredations of uncontrollable desire. What avail is the courtesies of a prostitute, the attention of a loose woman? Nothing. And what of the fruit of such loins? Only sorrow is born and misery is multiplied. So Campbell actually did break one of the scriptures, so he is a heretic. So he deserved that brand. Errant mind. Restrict an errant mind before it becomes fruitacious and divided, and even two enemies occupy the same body? No. For the first will direct it one way, and the second another, until they stumble into a ditch and break their neck. Likewise, two contrary thoughts cannot abide in a man's mind, or he will become weak-willed and subject to any heresy. Right, now we're going to quickly go into this urn room and read those urns of the fallen. Right, so I assume this is the first one. High Overseer Holger, his words will drive us ever onward. Founder of the Order, wrote reform and tradition, knife driven through his eye during the siege of White Cliff. High Overseer John Clavering, may his light guide our path through the murk. Instrumental in the construction of the Abbey, his deft hands illuminated early copies of the Seven Strictures, consumed by fever in his bed. Clavering Boulevard. Is that what it was called? Clavering Boulevard. It rings a bell. I'm trying to work out what I did. High Overseer Falak Barrow, his hands will ever be on our shoulders. Contributed several chapters to the siblings of sayings of the overseers, introduced the right of the watchful eye, fell down a flight of stairs, or was he pushed? High Overseer Abraham Templeton, a pillar of justice standing above the clouds of inquiry, right the opening of the litany of the White Cliff, taken by consumable illness. High Overseer Francis Perry. His sacrifice will never be forgotten. First Overseer to personally encounter and combat an incarnation of the outsider went missing during the fugal feast, his body was never found. Interesting. That's actually really interesting, the fact that he's got the Overseer has an incarnation of himself, which means you might be able to see it in the game, maybe. Overseer John Breton. He was a blade half aloft for the everyman. Held aloft, sorry. Aided in hiding the book of scriptures from being burned by enemy fires. Run through with a spear during the siege of Whitecliff. What is Whitecliff, and why are there so much battles waged there? I'm not sure. Right, now one of these had the opal in, didn't it? High Overseer Stephen Gainsford. His mind was a sharp light piercing the gloom. First to discover the descendant scale, a champion against the forces of corruption, died testing a harness designed to protect its wearer from high falls. High Overseer Scott Grafton. He drove back the darkness so we might have peace. First Overseer to forge into Pandazea, to purge darkness wherever it may be found. Died of plague. Promoted with Holgir's opal to honour his battle with the plague. High Oracle Gwen Hofcraft. Her insightful aligned us in our time of greatest need. First woman inducted, founded the Oracular Order, succumbed to madness. High Overseer Rai Matson. By his invitation do our ranks now swell. Innovation. Indicated the trials of aptitude disfenstrated during the night of flung shutters. High Overseer Tynan Wallace. His fires left nothing behind but the righteous and true. Led the first of the great trials, tortured and burned over 1,000 heretics, died in bed of old age. High Oracle Dahlia Summonons. Her inquisitive mind left nowhere for corruption to hide. First woman of southern blood to join the order, opened relations with Sir Conus and founded an oracular chapel there, assassinated by agents of the Outsider. Cool. Right, I think there is one more plaque upstairs. So we'll go and find that. I've moved away from the microphone, so bear with me if I sound a bit weird and far away. But I'm ill. Right, this is what I wanted to read. Right. Resist temptation. Let this serve as a reminder of our cause, a token of the outsider's power, bound here before us. Let it not allow it to twist our hearts, or gaze shall not wander toward it, nor will our hands reach out in restless greed to grasp it. Great. Is there anything else? I feel like there might be something else in here. Let me have a quick little check. Okay, I couldn't find any. If I missed any, let me know. But let's read some books now then. My nose is I'm going to sneeze in a second. The DD, or TDD, that could stand for the Distillery District. That sounds about right. Let me just get a tissue for my nose, because I'm dying. So I literally only I know I was ill, not this morning. But literally in the last 3 hours I've just got really bad, which is not good. Ugh. Okay, right. The Distillery District. Excerpt from a pre-play promotional book on products made in Dunwall. Across the Empire, Old Dunwall whisky is not the only finest alliteration of its kind, but it's also an important cultural tradition among discerning folk, sophisticated and common alike. Captains moving their ships across the great ocean always have a bottle in their quarters for occasions. Fine restaurants and bars keep it in stock, and farmers across Bristol exchange old Dunwell whisky when healthy children are born. Some might disagree, preferring highbrow drinks such as King Street Brandy or one of the other brands from Morley, but sales of Old Dunwall have been brisk throughout the early years of Empress Jasmine Caldwin's reign, a trend that is expected to continue. Aged and bottled in Dunwall's Distillery District, Old Dunwall whisky is what you want. Okay, next one is TSS, which is this one, the Seven Strictures. Do I not want to read that one? Oh yeah, we read that already. Okay, then. The Seven Scriptures. Excerpt from a commonly distributed overview of the Seven Scriptures. Surround your innermost being with the Scriptures, and you will be safe. The Seven Scriptures are the core principles taught and reinforced by overseers across the Isles. From these principles stem all manner of rules, social codes, and beliefs about the cosmos. The Seven Structures. Number 1, Wandering Greys. 2, Lying Tongue. 3, Restless Hands. 4 roving feet, 5 rampant hunger, 8 wanton flesh, 7 errant mind. All these behaviours must be restricted in order to keep one's heart free from malevolent influences. They are the inroads of the outsider. WH and TH, Whelping and Training Hounds. Excerpt from a Hound Trainer's Guide. From each litter, there's usually somewhere shy of 4 good pups, but we always drown the runt. Them that remain spend 3 or 6 or so months suckling from their mother before we start them up with the training. It is simple at first, returning sticks and sitting still on command, only peeing outside and the like. But by the 8th month we got 'em hunting for scented sock dolls hidden in a scrub forest, killing wild pigs on command, and taking a man in padded armour down by hanging onto his forearm. In the end of the first year, we graduate the ones that have learned and shoot the ones that haven't. The overseers take them after that, and we never see them again. Except once, walking down Clavering Boulevard, here's that one, an overseer passed me, preaching about the litany of the White Cliff and the evils of witchery, and sure enough, his hound started whimpering and wagging its tail. That's how I know it was one of mine. Whelped up from a pup. Right, what's next? 7th scripture? Yep. Except from a work detailing one of the 7 scriptures, restrict the errant mind before it becomes fruitless and divided. Can 2 enemies... Oh, that's the same as the book on the wall. Yeah, okay, then cool. Right, anyway, let me just cross off a few books before I get confused. So I've done the DD, I've done the TSS, I've done that one, I've done the 7th scripture, which means I can also get rid of the 2nd scripture, the 5th scripture, and that's it. So the Fugue Feast now. Let's read this one after I find my tissue again, because I need it. No, is it running? Excerpt from a book on the celebrations and holidays. At the end of every year, after the last day of the month of songs, we begin the Fugue Feast. The new year has not started, and thus the time that follows is outside the calendar. A period of celebration and feasting begins, during which the people abandoned the very practices that keep them whole and healthy over the year. Many leave their homes euphoric with spirits or potent herbs. Some paint their faces and wear masks to conceal themselves as to pursue their passions without reservation. When the right cosmological signs are observed and it is time for the calendar to begin anew, the sitting high overseer calls for the hymn of atonement, and the Fugue Feast ends. Families return to their homes, wives to their husbands, enemies put down their weapons, and fires are extinguished. No complaint is given to those who have wronged others. Devotion deviated from ancient codes or discarded oaths. For this time during the astrological alignment does not exist and is not recorded. The following day starts this new year, marked on the first day of the month of Earth, and it has always been. That's weird, actually. Wish I knew more about that, actually. Maybe we'll see it in the game. Right then. Deposition log 73826. The case of Agatha Harcourt. Harcourt. Disposition from Mary Wallace. I smelled a particular stench coming from Agatha's one night. As I looked into the window, I saw her burning over a fire, the bones of something small, along with clumps of hair. Disposition from Herbert Alcott. On several evenings as I came home from work, I saw Agatha peering at me unnaturally from behind her curtains. On the 5th day, I felt a pain in my stomach upon approaching her home. Outcome: Agatha's home was searched. Several outlawed items were found. As Agatha was caught as she attempted to flee from her back door, her interrogation yielded little of use. Home and property seized for the Abbey, remains cremated. Movements of Corvo Attano. Known movements returned after a official deployment of roughly 2 months. After departure from Bristol, mission included stops at other major isles. At the behest of the Empress, Jasmine Caldwin arrived bearing ill news, immediately apprehended for her murder. Last confirmed sighting, entering sewers after Coldridge prison after escaping execution under unusual circumstances. Testimony from citizenry Dover. Confidence moderate, unconfirmed. Statement: person matching subject's description seen conversing with unknown woman near front gates of the Academy of Natural Philosophy. Testimony from citizenry Benjamin Harby. Confidence low, unconfirmed. Statement: person matching subject's description seen fertilizing with ox herds just outside the city. That wasn't me. Testimony from citizenry Charlotte Cadenhead. Confidence low, second hand. Statement: overheard conversation implying one of the parties involved a knowledge of subject. Suspected allegiances, none known. Recommendation, search for the estate district based on the subject's prior position of authority and privilege. I'm not there, I don't think. Disclosure log 965. Name, Dylan Jacobs. Admitted violations, theft of neighbour's food. Recourse, half wages to be given to neighbour for a month. Oh, that's a nice way of doing it with it. Name, Millicent Ridgway. Admitted violations, adultery. Recourse, 1 year in the service of the order. Name, Robert Young. Admitted violations, spying on his neighbour as she bathed. Recourse, public humiliation in the stocks for 2 days. Oh, dear me. For the feast. Okay, we're nearly done, to be fair. Confiscation log 2749. Accused Archibald Pelling. Recovered effigy of the Lord Regent. Sentenced to 3 years imprisonment at Coldridge. Accused Beatrice Gold. Recovered collection of animal skulls carved with pictographic sigils. Sentence home confiscated. Accused Charles Hankey. Recovered book of rituals. Sentence home and property seized. Banished to the flooded district. The second structure we need to read. The Great Trials, we need to read that? I do need to read that one. Excerpt from an Overseer's Findings by High Overseer Tynal Wanis. Spending 2 years in the company of heretics, the insane and the rare black-hearted villains who are truly practitioners of magic, I can say with truth that I have seen things as to break the minds of most, and the trials of burning weigh heavily upon my heart. I must chronicle what has been a unique opportunity to witness the multifarious perversions that the outsider bestows upon those with a black counsel. Haven't I read this already? I don't think I have actually, no. Yeah, there we are. Many of those we faced were accused of bewitching their neighbours or family, controlling them from afar, or even walking around in their skins. And I have seen this with my own eyes, as one woman slid into the form of another, prowling unseen until a vigilant overseer struck down both the witch and her host. Others, detailed heroine, were found to stand in 2 places seemingly at once, or to vanish from one place and appear in another. Our work was dire, we know, for if the follower of the outsider can truly inhabit the skin of another, or more from place to place like the wind, then how can we hope to erect walls to keep him out? It was these trials that first led us to investigate barriers beyond the physical. On branding heritage, I read that already. 5th scripture I've read. Okay, that's good. It's done then. Perfect. Let me get in here. It's too loud. I heard some sort of thing, which was bad. Anyway, that is the pointing episode done then. I'll see you in the next proper video, where we'll be going into the backyard and trying to get back to Samuel to complete the mission. But, for now, that is it. I shall see you in the next adventure.